"You're being paranoid," everyone said. But when the pediatrician noticed my baby's rare blood type didn't match mine, the hospital launched an investigation. The CCTV showed my aunt in the nursery at 3 a.m., and she wasn't alone. The words echoed in my mind as I sat in the cold hospital conference room, staring at the grainy security footage that had just shattered my world. There was my Aunt Margaret, clear as day, holding 2 babies in the nursery. But what made my blood run cold was the figure beside her, someone I'd trusted even more than family. "My name is Sarah, and 6 weeks ago, I gave birth to what I thought was my daughter, Lily. But the baby sleeping in my arms right now, the one I'd nursed and sung to and loved with every fiber of my being, might not be mine at all. It started 3 days ago with what should have been a routine 2-month checkup. Dr. Emily Hawthorne, our pediatrician, was reviewing Lily's charts when she paused, her brow furrowing. "Sarah, I need to double-check something," she said, flipping through pages. "Your blood type is A negative, correct? And your husband James is O positive." "Yes, that's right." "Why?" She looked at Lily's test results again. "According to these results, Lily has AB negative blood. That's genetically impossible with your blood types." The room seemed to tilt. "There must be a mistake with the test." "That's what I thought too," Dr. Hawthorne said gently. "So I ran it twice. Same result." "Sarah, has Lily been out of your sight at all since birth?" "No, wait." My mind raced back to the hospital. The first night, they took her to the nursery so I could sleep. Said it was standard procedure. Dr. Hawthorne's expression grew serious. "I think we need to contact the hospital immediately. And Sarah, we should run a DNA test." Those 3 days of waiting were agony. James tried to stay positive, but I could see the fear in his eyes every time he looked at Lily. Was she ours? Had there been a mistake? Or was something more sinister at play? The call came on a Thursday afternoon. The hospital's administrator, Dr. Patricia Stern, asked us to come in immediately. Her voice was carefully controlled, but I could hear the underlying tension. "Bring Lily," she said. "And Sarah, is there anyone who visited you in the maternity ward that we should know about?" My stomach dropped. "My Aunt Margaret. She's a nurse at St. Mary's across town. She came to help." The silence on the other end spoke volumes. Now, sitting in this conference room with Dr. Stern, the head of security, 2 police officers, and a woman from Child Protective Services, I watched my life unravel frame by frame on the security monitor. "This footage is from your first night post-delivery," the security chief, Marcus Webb, explained. "At 3:17 a.m., we see Margaret Chin entering the nursery with her hospital credentials. She said she was checking on Lily for me," I whispered. "I was so tired, and she offered." "Watch this part," Officer Diana Reeves said, pointing to the screen. On the footage, Margaret picked up a baby from one crib, mine based on the label, and held her. Then another figure entered the frame. My heart stopped. "Oh my God," James breathed. "Is that?" It was my mother-in-law, Linda. The woman who'd been devastated when told she couldn't be in the delivery room due to COVID restrictions. The woman who'd complained bitterly about not getting to hold her grandchild immediately after birth. "How did she get in?" I demanded. "She wasn't authorized." "That's what we're investigating," Officer Reeves said. "Keep watching." On screen, Margaret and Linda appeared to be having an intense conversation. Margaret gestured to another crib across the room. Then, in movements so deliberate they couldn't be mistaken for anything but intentional, Margaret carried my baby to the other crib and lifted out a different infant. They swapped the ankle bracelets. They changed the crib cards. Linda cradled the baby, my real baby, while Margaret placed the other infant in Lily's crib. "No," I moaned, my arms tightening around the baby I'd been raising. No. "There's more," Dr. Stern said quietly. "We've identified the other baby. Her name is Emma. Her mother, Nicole Barnes, is a single parent who gave birth the same night as you." "Where are they?" James demanded. "Where's our daughter?" Officer Reeves pulled out her phone. "Ms. Barnes is on her way. She's been having the same suspicions. Emma hasn't been well, needed several treatments that seemed odd given her supposed medical history. When her doctor suggested genetic testing, the door burst open. A young woman rushed in, holding a baby carrier. She was about my age, with wild curly hair and eyes red from crying. "Where is she?" Nicole demanded. "Where's my Emma?" I stood on shaking legs, looking down at the baby in my arms. The baby I'd loved, thinking she was mine. I think I have her." Nicole's eyes locked onto the infant, and her face crumbled. Oh my God, that's her. That's my Emma. I knew it. I knew something was wrong. She never felt. She stopped, looking at me with a mixture of desperation and guilt. She never felt like mine. The DNA results, Dr. Stern said, sliding papers across the table. They confirm what the video shows. The babies were deliberately switched. But why? I cried. Why would they do this? Marcus pulled up another video. This might explain it. This is from the parking garage, 20 minutes after the switch. We watched Linda carrying my baby, my real baby, to her car. Margaret followed, and they drove away together. The timestamp showed 3:43 a.m. We tracked the car, Officer Reeves said. They went to Linda's house. And this is where it gets complicated. Sarah, were you aware that your mother-in-law has been struggling financially? James went rigid. What does that have to do with anything? We found evidence of a private adoption arrangement, Officer Reeves continued. Emails between Linda and a couple in Connecticut. They were willing to pay $50,000 for a healthy newborn, no questions asked. The room spun. She was going to sell our baby? It appears so. But something went wrong. The couple backed out when they learned the baby wasn't legally available for adoption. Linda's been hiding Lily at her house ever since, trying to figure out what to do. She's had her for 2 months? I screamed. My baby's been 5 miles away this whole time? Nicole spoke up, her voice shaking. What about Margaret? Why would she help? Officer Reeves pulled up financial records. Margaret owes Linda $30,000. Gambling debts that Linda covered last year. This was her way of paying it back. I thought I might be sick. My own aunt, who'd held me as a baby, who'd been at every birthday party, who'd promised to help me through motherhood. She'd stolen my child to pay off a debt. Where are they now? James asked, his voice deadly calm. We have units at both residences, Officer Reeves assured us. Linda's in custody. Margaret fled when she learned about the investigation, but we have Bolos out. And Sarah. Lily is safe. She's at the hospital with a social worker, waiting for you. I sobbed, relief and rage warring in my chest. Beside me, Nicole was crying too, clutching the baby carrier that held her, Emma. We need to switch them back, Nicole said suddenly. Right now. I need my baby, and you need yours. But as I looked down at Emma, sweet Emma, who I'd fed at 2 a.m. and rocked through colic and whose first smile I'd witnessed, my heart shattered. I loved her. God help me, I loved this child who wasn't mine. I know, Nicole whispered, seeing my face. I love Lily too. I've been her mother for 2 months. But they're not ours, Sarah. They belong with their real families. Dr. Stern stepped forward. We have counselors here to help with the transition. This is an unprecedented situation. You've both bonded with these children. It's going to be difficult. Difficult. I laughed bitterly. I don't even know what my own daughter looks like awake. I missed her first 2 months. Linda stole that from me. We'll nail her to the wall, James promised, his arms around me. Her and Margaret both. The next hours were a blur. Police brought Lily, my real Lily, to the hospital. She was healthy, well cared for, which was the only thing keeping me from complete breakdown. Linda had apparently convinced herself she was doing the right thing, that she was meant to raise this baby since we were too young to be good parents. The moment they placed Lily in my arms, I knew. Despite never holding her before, despite missing her first 2 months, I knew this was my daughter. She had James's nose, my chin. When she opened her eyes, they were the same dark brown as my mother's. Hi, baby girl, I whispered. I'm your mama. Your real mama. Beside me, Nicole was having her own reunion with Emma. The babies were confused, crying for the only mothers they'd known, but we pushed through. We had to. Margaret was arrested 2 days later at a motel near the Canadian border. She broke down immediately, confessing everything. She claimed Linda had manipulated her, threatened to expose her gambling addiction to her employer if she didn't help. But the calculated nature of the switch, the way she'd used her medical knowledge and hospital connections, there was no excuse. The legal proceedings took months. Linda was charged with kidnapping, conspiracy, and attempted human trafficking. She got 15 years. Margaret received 8 years for her role. The hospital faced massive lawsuits for their security failures. But the hardest part wasn't the legal battles. It was learning to be Lily's mother after someone else had filled that role for 2 months. It was the guilt of loving Emma, of missing her even as I bonded with my own daughter. Nicole and I started meeting regularly, sharing our complicated feelings in a situation no parenting book covered. Some days I still see Emma's face when I look at Lily, I admitted during one coffee meeting, 6 months later. I know, Nicole said. Sometimes I call Emma Lily by accident. My mom thinks I'm crazy, but you get it. We'd become unlikely friends, bonded by the strangest circumstances. Our daughters would grow up knowing each other, knowing their unique story. We decided they deserved the truth when they were old enough to understand. James struggled with forgiving his mother. He'd cut off all contact, despite her letters from prison begging for forgiveness. She stole our daughter to pay off her gambling debts, he'd say whenever anyone suggested reconciliation. There's no coming back from that. My relationship with my extended family imploded. Those who'd called me paranoid, who'd dismissed my concerns about Lily not looking like either of us, now faced their own guilt. My mother was devastated that her sister could do such a thing. Family gatherings became minefields of accusation and regret. But in the end, we had Lily, our real daughter, who was learning to smile at us, to trust us, to know us as her parents. The 2 months we'd lost could never be recovered, but we had a lifetime ahead. 1 year later, at Lily's first birthday party, her real first birthday, not the one we'd planned for Emma, Nicole arrived with Emma and a cake. We decided to celebrate together, these girls whose lives had been intertwined from birth. To our girls, Nicole toasted, raising her juice box. Parenthood had made us too tired for real drinks. May they never know betrayal like we did. To family, I added, looking around at our chosen family, friends who'd supported us, the therapist who'd guided us through the transition, even Dr. Hawthorne who'd uncovered the truth. The kind you choose, not the kind that fails you. As I watched Lily smash her tiny fist into her cake, giggling at the mess, I thought about forgiveness. Not for Linda or Margaret. Some betrayals cut too deep. But forgiveness for myself, for loving the wrong baby, for not knowing immediately that something was wrong. The truth was, I'd been a mother to 2 daughters in those strange months. Emma would always hold a piece of my heart, just as Lily held a piece of Nicole's. It wasn't the motherhood journey either of us had planned, but it had taught us that love is complicated, that family can betray you, and that sometimes the most paranoid thought, someone switched my baby, turns out to be devastating reality. But it also taught us that truth has a way of surfacing, that good people still exist in broken systems, and that a mother's instinct, even when everyone calls it paranoia, should never be ignored. Lily laughed, cake in her hair, and I laughed with her. We'd found our way back to each other against impossible odds. That was worth celebrating, even if the journey to get here had nearly destroyed us all.